This month, we'll learn how Stax has become a champion for better education. We'll sit down with a tech leader helping to revolutionize healthcare for the needy and learn how the University of Memphis is building a better tomorrow for its students. Have you ever been excited by a new idea, inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes who are making a difference in their own way, so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders that are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark. When you talk about a renaissance and a movement taking place here in the Mid-South, there's definitely one afoot here with Soulsville, USA. And the catalyst behind it is the Soulsville Foundation. I'm here with the Grammy Award-winning Kirk Whalum. He's the chief cheerleader for the Soulsville Foundation. But when I say Soulsville Foundation, obviously you guys support many different entities here on the campus of Soulsville, USA. Define the Soulsville Foundation.
Happily. The Soulsville Foundation includes the Soulsville Charter School, which is a prep school that's changing the whole paradigm. Over 500 kids. We have the Stax Museum of American Soul Music and the Stax Music Academy. Those are the three entities that are really changing the conversation about this sort of poor, underserved, undervalued area of town that's now becoming sort of a beacon light for the whole world.
And it's, especially when you talk about the museum and the different entities, you're a massive tourist destination. I mean, people from all around the world are coming here, and people don't realize this is the original location of the Stax label, and so there's a great tie-in there historically.
Absolutely.
Share a little bit about that history when you talk about the Stax Museum of American Soul Music. Describe that history and then just the broad reach.
Sure, absolutely. I was recently in Liverpool, England, and I was struck by the similarity of this sort of, inconsequential little neighborhood called Liverpool. Now all of a sudden the world knows that it's all about the Beatles. Well, that's similar to that with Stax and with Soulsville, that this museum celebrates and it perpetuates a musical legacy that has been in some ways just as powerful as the legacy of the Beatles, in that all over the world people sing these soul music songs, and many times they think soul music, Motown. Well, not quite. Before Motown, there was Stax and Soulsville. So we're able to kind of, straighten that out and let people in on this beautiful culture of Memphis.
And I think that I love the museum from an experience standpoint is you have literally, you walk into a church, you have a great film that sets it up in terms of the history of it, but then you get to walk through and there's so much memorabilia, and even including the studio itself too. So amazing experience to walk through. What does it mean for you to walk through it?
Sure, it's powerful, and as well, I would say that leaving and going away and saying, okay, that's it. I was born in Memphis, but now I'm going, and you end up realizing the farther away you get, the closer you get, because the impact of this musical culture is ubiquitous. I mean, you can't get away from it. You're going to hear "I'm a Soul Man" or "I'll Take You There." You're going to hear those songs no matter where you are. So it is absolutely, for me, a source of great pride.
So let's switch gears to the Stax Music Academy. One of the things that I love so much is you're a musical icon. You've shared the stage with many like Whitney Houston. What does it mean for these students? Because you take them on tours all around the world. For them to be able to perform and have mentors such as yourself, how does that change their experience and their expectations when it comes to being a musician themselves?
Sure. I think the main thing is that they are able to access and really connect with someone who's in the industry. In other words, it's one thing to see it on YouTube. It's another thing to talk to somebody and ask questions of somebody who was able to do some of those things. And you're right, when they go out and perform and they're in front of 3,000 people at the Lincoln Center in New York City, they get to see it for themselves. And there's a certain, another level of pride and expectation in what they do and what they're called to contribute to the world, to world culture. That kicks in another way when you're outside of the laboratory of the classroom. Now you're in front of people, and of course the people are always taken aback when they hear, whoa, these aren't just kids up here making a joyful noise. This is pretty doggone professional, and that's of course where our great staff comes in. They make sure that people are impacted like that.
And I've been blown away when you talk about the experience of seeing the students perform. Amazing. And then we're going to talk in just a second about the Soulsville Charter School itself. But before we do, we've got a quick little teaser talking about the culture and what makes it very unique. So let's take a look at it in action.
You know, a lot of people have the misperception that we are a performing arts school. We're a college prep school. However, music is very important to us. There's a sense of fun on the adult level as well as the kid level. We love arriving to work, hearing the Stax songs. I mean, you can see me on any given day bobbing my head and stumping my feet, and you can see others doing the same thing. It definitely adds to the joy of the campus, and the kids really enjoy it as well. But we're all about work as well as play. As a matter of fact, we like to make the two equivalent. By creating engaging lessons, we tell kids, hey, work is play. The main thing that we do is educate. About a third of our kids are actually from the Soulsville neighborhood. So that's our biggest impact on the community, is actually producing students who will be ready for college and life. Here at the Soulsville Charter School, our mission is extremely ambitious. We consider ourselves to have to do about 10 years of work in a 7-year period. Many of our kids come to us way below a 6th grade reading level. We have a saying around here that says it always seems impossible until it is done. And many consider our work to be impossible, but we don't. We know that it can be done, and we're committed to making it happen.
So we just saw a little bit of the soul for the Soulsville Charter School. One of the things that really impresses me, though, is the success you're having. This year, 51 of 51, 100% graduation, over $3 million in scholarships. That's huge. And people don't realize that this is a lottery system. You're not hand selecting these students. So they're coming in, and you guys are really having to do 10 years worth of work in 7 years. When you look at that, what are the things that when you kind of see that success, what makes you proud, but also, too, what stands out is that reason for that success?
Sure, absolutely. It's a sort of a faith, really. You know, it's interesting how that word comes to play. But a farmer has to sow the seed with faith. In essence, all you got is those funny-looking things, but in your mind, you're thinking corn or you're thinking wheat or whatever. That's the way that this staff goes about their day. They see these kids, they see the potential in them, and they work towards that. And all of the opposition, all of the challenges, and they present themselves, believe me. I mean, some of these kids come from, you said it, there's no lottery. I mean, there's no hand picking. It's a lottery. A lot of these kids come from situations that are really, really bad. And again, we could go into detail, but it's pretty bad. But boy, they come here, and this culture and the way they're treated, the respect that they get, and the attention to developing these amazing gifts that they have, zeroes out all of those challenges, at least for that moment, and we're able to develop an amazing crop of beautiful, we call them soul communicators. They will go out in the world and they will communicate to the world something, or contribute to the world something of value. And it's something that was already in them, but we get to nurture that.
I get to snap, right?
That's exactly right. We don't clap, we snap, you know. And yeah, that's right. It's a soul connection that they'll make with the world. It's not just, oh, I want to go, as they say in the rap industry, I want to go get paid. No, they want to go make a contribution. These kids are programmed to go out and do something important.
So what makes you proud when you look at where we're headed? Yeah. What does that next step look like for you, for the campus here? I mean, you guys really are creating a renaissance, but what does that next step look like? Well,
it's sort of self-fulfilling in a sense that these kids will go out and they will multiply themselves in the sense of other kids who will follow along after them. And they'll multiply the large group of folks who will now know what this is, how important it is, and they'll want to contribute. That to us is very, very important.
And you guys have tons of events, huge events for the Mid-South. Share just a couple off the top of your head as some of the ones that these are the mainstay events. What are they?
Well, we partner with the Memphis Grizzlies on an event called Stackstacular. And that's a major fundraiser every year, and it happens at the Stack Museum. People love coming to that event. It's a big, big party. And as well, Stacks to the Max. That's an outdoor concert. We do that right here on the campus. We open it up to the community. They take ownership in it. So again, it's urban renewal, it's community renewal, it's renaissance, you know, rebirth. That's what all these things are about. It's about taking something that already started here, impacted the world. Now we get to leverage that into concrete ways of making life better for these kids and for the whole community.
Well, I'm so sold. I'm representing with the tie that the kids wear. So
That's right.
I love what you guys do.
You're one of us, man.
And I can't thank you enough for what you guys are doing here in the Mid-South. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Bless you, man.
Technology is something that touches every one of our lives. We're here with a man in a company that is redefining the IT industry. Michael Drake, he's the CEO of Master IT. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm great, Jeremy. Great to be with you.
Give us a little bit of the background on Master IT.
Yeah, Master IT is what's called a managed service provider, and that's technology language for basically a company's IT department. We serve the 10 to 250 person company in the Mid-South with a variety of solutions, but at the end of the day we just make technology work so they can focus on their business and their bottom line.
And one of the things that I like is you're really redefining the model, so you're making it very scalable. Talk about the model that you're using.
Well, for us it takes a village to provide IT. What we find in many companies, whether they don't have an IT staff and use a third-party provider, or they have an internal group of 1 or 2 people, is they don't have the people or the process or the technology to deliver technology in a consistent manner. So it really takes a village to do it, and we have dedicated resource in terms of different types of engineers, different types of consultants, and it becomes a relationship and an outcome rather than a bunch of bits and bytes.
Well, that's one of the things that I like is the analogy. You alluded to it a long time ago is like a cupcake. You don't really care about the ingredients necessarily, you just want the cupcake. Share a little bit about that analogy.
Well, that's true. I mean, if you think about it, whether you're FedEx or Lipscomb & Pitts or Master IT, we all need 3 things out of technology. We need plumbing, which is the infrastructure. We need support for the infrastructure and, more importantly, for the people. And we need consulting to really take technology from what is to what if, so people can leverage that to be more successful. So the way that we deliver all of those pieces is really the ingredients. You know, people's eyes glaze over when you talk about monitoring and management or data security or help desk services, but when you talk about an outcome, they really appreciate that.
So you published white papers and you talked about the 5 trends touching the IT industry. Share a little bit about those 5 trends.
Yeah, if you think about it today, probably the number 1 trend in IT is mobility. It seems like everybody today has a smartphone or a tablet, so that's next generation mobility. The second piece really dovetails with that. It's what we call the consumerization of IT. Thanks to Apple and Android, we have an app for everything. And people believe that in the workplace they can have an app for anything at work just like they do in their personal lives, which is not necessarily true yet. We're on the road to that. The next piece is really cloud computing, and we all know, we've heard about cloud in terms of the delivery through the internet.
That's a big buzzword.
Big buzzword, a lot to it. We could talk about that at length. The other thing is really social media. And when social media first came out, it was somewhat a hype for business. But today it's really become social business, and people are actually leveraging it today to connect, to create communities. You're one of the great examples of that. And then the final one, the 5th one, is something people might not be familiar with, but it's big data. And that's really just the proliferation of all the data that we create every day. It has to be stored somewhere securely, and it has to be archived, and it has to be reachable. So that's going to be a big, big trend in the future.
Share with us about Bring Your Own Device. I think that's a very hot topic, and I know it ties in with a feature we're going to show in just a second. Yeah,
so in terms of mobility, people have 2 choices. Either they can bring their own device to work, or the company can issue the device. Either one, the companies have to design for what we call loss of control. Because today people want to consume and access their data anywhere, anytime. Right. If they're bringing their own device, it could be a touchy issue relative to the culture of the company and maybe a human resource policy of who owns the data. What's my data? What's your data? I have pictures, I have music, they're mine. I have things that I do when I'm not at work. You have, as the company, GPS capability. Are you going to be following me wherever I go? If I lose my device, are you going to wipe everything? Or just your data. So there are a lot of cultural and HR issues that surround this, as well as operational. So we've created a platform to be able to help people, number 1, with policy, and then number 2, with the tools to actually enforce or manage the policy.
So let's take a quick look at this in action.
So Christ Community Health Services exist really to provide high quality health care to the poor, underserved here in Memphis, and really even beyond Memphis. But our purpose really is to provide excellent health care, to really pursue excellence in providing health care to those that often have difficulty accessing health care. We've transitioned over the last year and a half or so from technology being an aside, a thing we used here and there, to now it being every part of just about every interaction that we do in the clinic. We've transitioned to electronic medical records now, and so all of our records are electronic, and so all of our patient encounters are done electronically, and pretty much everything requires technology now. This has been a really good thing, I believe, for our patients for many reasons. As a healthcare provider, I carry an iPad into the exam room with me, and the patient already has a chart open there with their vitals and all entered in there. We have 6 different clinics across the city, and if a patient goes to one day and another clinic another day, we now have the same information on the computer, whereas before it was just a paper chart.
So as you've just seen, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, or accountant, not only are people consuming technology, but they're actually delivering services through tablets. So consumerization of IT, it's a big trend.
It's amazing how fast technology is pushing that forward. Let's go ahead and switch gears. One of the things that you're very passionate about, mentorship. And I know with the University of Memphis, which actually is going to be later on in this show as well, tied to the MILE program and the LEAD program. Share a little bit about just your role with mentorship and also to the University of Memphis and that tie-in.
Sure. I've been fortunate to have been involved with MILE, which is the Memphis Institute for Leadership Education, since the beginning about 6 years ago. And it's a great program where the university pairs the best and the brightest of their students with great business leaders who have a heart and a passion for mentoring. And the great thing about mentoring is not to give somebody the answers, because as you know, we make mistakes every day, but how great it would have been to have had somebody that you could look to that had been there before, to have them share their mistakes and talk about what to do, what not to do. Or today in a business world, you know, how to take a business lunch or how to participate in a business meeting.
Absolutely.
It's been a lot of fun, and I've gotten a lot more out of it actually than I've put into it. And of course the LEAD program expands upon that and actually takes students from all over the university. So we love really exposing them to what's going on not only in our community, but also in the business world, so we can create a connection that when these students graduate, they don't feel like they have to go to Atlanta or Dallas or some other city to begin their career. We want them to stay in Memphis because the secret, I think, which is not a secret, to really improving our community is doing it one person at a time. And the way to do that is to create relationships. And of course, the Lipscomb and Pitts Breakfast Club has been fantastic in creating internships for a lot of these students, and it creates that real connection to where they get to know each other before a potential hire. And I love that aspect of what we're doing.
And I like how you alluded to before, it's not a one-way street. On both sides, you're both sharing and learning. And I think that's very important for those out there, is that it's not just you imparting that wisdom, but you genuinely learn how to build, especially with the millennials, how to manage that, how to build those relationships, how to communicate with them. Very different.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you see here that most of the people that we employ are millennials, and I'm different than they are, and I need to really understand how they think, what motivates them, how to communicate with them. So we both have the same objective, but it's how do we help each other get there? And again, as I said, I get a lot more out of it, I think, than I put in.
And that ties into the last question, is your legacy statement. Mentorship is a big part of your legacy statement. I think it's neat to see, and you share yours all the time, but talk about your legacy statement and what that means to you as well as Master IT.
Yeah, well, my purpose in life is just to help other people be the best that they can be. So I really feel like a facilitator, and that's what we do here. I mean, one of our taglines at Master IT is helping our clients leverage technology to be more awesome. So that's a lot of my personal brand and my personal statement, but it really is what I think about the University of Memphis and the Memphis community at large.
Whether it's mentorship, innovation, technology, greatly appreciate everything you're doing. Michael Drake and Master IT, thank you very much. The University of Memphis is well known for its degree programs, academics, and athletics, but what you probably don't know is they're investing over $1 million each year in scholarships for student leadership and development. I'm here with Justin Lawhead. He's the Associate Dean of Student Involvement and Leadership. And when I say student leadership, What does that mean to you, Justin?
It means creating a comprehensive program and giving students multiple opportunities to engage in leadership education, from scholarships to mentor programs to one-day workshops to week-long activities to support that engagement and that learning.
And Michael Drake, earlier on the show, he talked a lot about LEAD, Emerging Leaders, the MILE program. Give us a little bit of a snapshot about what those mean.
Well, the Emerging Leaders program is a scholarship program we've had since 1983. We currently have 186 students in that and have grown that program almost 150% over the last 5 years. Almost $1.2 million in scholarship monies, and have students from Alaska, Florida, Maryland, Shelby County, 110 high schools engaged in leadership training when in their 4 years here.
Talk about, I look at it as they're a diamond in the rough, you're polishing them, you're teaching them everything from etiquette, the resume, you know, all of those things that truly make up leadership, those intangibles that you don't necessarily learn in the classroom. Give us a little bit of a snapshot of some of those things, the experiences that they're learning as students going through the leadership.
Well, there's a lot of information out there right now about the fact that young employees lack soft skills. So whether it's able to deal with conflict management or work in groups or understand the value of a vision and planning, we give them opportunities to manage volunteers, deal with this equilibrium experience where something doesn't go quite as well as they can and process that experience, and also the value of reflection. How are you doing what you're doing, and what does that mean for your future?
And one of the things that we talk about all the time is the fact that it's getting them those real-world examples and experiences while in college versus out in the professional world. Everything from networking, building those relationships, walking into an area where you might be a little uncomfortable, but embracing that. Share a little bit about just some of those things. You kind of put them in awkward situations so they can grow and develop early on.
We have a professional connections program, and we bring professionals and students in the room and have what we structured conversations, but we don't pair them one-to-one. We ask the students to work the room, create those conversations at tables, understanding that it's a safe environment. They're not applying for a job, but they're going to walk into experiences where there's not necessarily a roadmap or a way to do things, figure it out on their own, and get those students to make those connections and that understanding.
So we've been following a student, and we're about to see this in action. So let's take a quick look.
A lot of what you get here on the leadership programs here on campus are speakers that you probably wouldn't have the chance to get to hear or even meet in a regular walk of life, I guess. Like, we'll get people like the mayor of the county, mayor of the city. You'll have different CEOs and presidents of businesses, different representatives for nonprofits in the area that are doing a lot of good things. And with those leadership experiences and getting to hear their perspectives, it helps you even tweak some of the things that you may already even know, or even teach you something completely brand new that maybe just needed to be brought to light. Really, it's appreciation and value of diversity. I mean, I've learned so much through meeting different people from different walks of life, different religious backgrounds, different educations. It's just really been an eye-opener for me to realize that there are so many different things, and yet there's so much we can do together, so many different perspectives that actually can help lead you to the same goal.
So we've been watching Leadership in Action. I want to get your thoughts, though, in terms of you're a big follower of the books and everything that's leadership oriented. What are some of the trends that, when you look at what you're infusing into the classroom and what you're infusing into the students, I'm just curious, what are one or two things that you're really trying to get across to them, or just from an overall leadership protocol, what are some things that you're really trying to infuse?
Well, I'm really trying them to get to think about their overall leadership brand, right? So they have their academics, they have their resume, they have their network experience, and then they have their online social media. And when I talk to them about online social media, I'm not talking about whether they do something wrong. I'm talking about how can they enhance their brand in order to create those opportunities. I think the other thing that you have to think about is, how is technology influencing leadership? So the choices you make in technology, whether it's social media or other methods, how is that impacting your profile and what we do? And how do you engage in systems like Facebook or Twitter to not necessarily just tweet about what you're doing, but what's out there, what can you engage in?
So we heard Michael Drake early on talk about mentorship and the focus on keeping the talent here.
Right.
And you guys play a very integral role in not only attracting new talent to the Mid-South, developing that talent, but then retaining that talent.
Sure.
Why is it so important for us, for business professionals, to step foot on campus, to be mentors, to help guide these students? I look at it as kind of closing that gap, but really, why is that so critically important for the Mid-South?
There's just some learning that's not happening in the classroom, and there's some skills and experiences that students need to be familiar with in order to be effective once they leave the institution. Business professionals, community leaders provide that. I also think it gives business professionals an excellent opportunity to be exposed to the talent that exists here. Right. And I also think that if you think about a college student, right, their days are pretty busy, and the things that they're focusing on aren't necessarily what's available in this community. They may have grown up here and they think they know about the community, but the business leaders can really tell them about the positive changes happening here.
Absolutely. And I think that's a key part on our end is showing them we appreciate it and want them to stay, but also too plugging them into the positives.
Here are the opportunities. We want you to be part of that.
Well, Justin, greatly appreciate everything you guys do here in the community, and thank you for coming on the show.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Tune in next month for another episode of The Spark.